Happy Friday, everyone. Olivia here for our Facebook Friday interview with the lovely Karen Culjack from New Horizons for Life. Now, I met Karen maybe about a month or so ago, and it was at, hang on, she wants to be in. Actually, she's here. Hello, Karen. Let's bring you on. That's all it looks like it's going to work. Let's come up again, Karen. Bring them on camera. Adding. Yay! Getting a bit. Hello, Karen. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. It was really nice. I was just starting to say I met you at the Greater Dandenong Chamber of Commerce at the very swish Mercedes Barrack. And and yeah, we stayed back at the end, and you're obviously very passionate about what you do. So do you want to explain what it is that you do for everybody, please?
Yes, so I'm a coach. I coach people to transform their lives. I specialise in cognitive behavioural coaching and training. So another way to explain that is I work with people to transform their minds so they can actually transform their lives. So cognitive behavioural coaching is basically where a coach is specialised to work with people to identify the core patterns of thinking that cause them to behave the way that they do.
Right. That's basically where you need to start to succeed in any area of your life. So do you find do you tend to deal with people for all sorts of different motivations, or who tends to come to you?
Yeah, from all walks of life for all sorts of reasons. So it can range just from wanting to improve productivity and performance in the workplace, people just wanting to improve their parenting skills, work on a relationship, just improve their confidence in general. Just develop the skills that they need to have the mindsets to start a business or do something radical in their lives for many, many different reasons.
So how would you go about discovering, is it a lot of asking questions and self-discovery, or how on earth would you find what those patterns are?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different modalities that we can use.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's just working out where people are, because there's a lot of clues in regard to the results that you're getting on a day-to-day basis. So just working out, well, where are you? Where do you want to get to? And then starting to work through that process of, okay, what are some of the things that are stopping you? Because we can be aware of things on an emotional level because we feel it in our bodies. So that can give us a clue to some of the thinking that is driving the fears and the self-doubt and things that are going on, holding us back from doing what we want to do. And then it takes skill to then determine what the thoughts are and what the beliefs are that drive those thoughts, because there's usually quite a few behind, the actual thinking.
Stephen says hello, by the way. Hello, Stephen. Thanks for joining us. So part of it is learning to become aware, is it? Of observing some signs that you may be missing that will give you some clues and some insight.
Yeah, because we often know what to do.
Yes,
there are times we don't know what to do. We're really stuck and we just don't know what to do. But often we do know what to do, but there's something that holds us back. And
yes,
as I said before, we can see what's happening in the environment around us, the results that we're getting. Mm-hmm. We can often feel different emotions and fears, or the opposite, just, you know, things that light us up and energize us, and we can feel that because it's tangible. But to identify the thinking that is behind those feelings, so a lot of people struggle with that, let alone to identify the belief that's driving that kind of the patterns of thinking behind it. So that's where working with a coach that specialises in cognitive behavioural training and coaching can actually help.
Okay, so all right, I'm going to go. I was having a bit of a look at your website, so I'm going to ask you some questions from the blogs I was reading there. You're saying there's a knowing and there's a knowing with capital in uppercase. There's knowing and knowing. What you know is reflected in your results. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So we have belief on two levels. So we can say we know how to do something. So for example, someone might want to improve their income in some capacity, and you know that, okay, I need to do, you know, get a couple more clients or get a couple more sales, and that's going to increase my income. And you might know that, but your performance or what you're doing on a day-to-day basis doesn't reflect what you know. So it's not being demonstrated in your life. So there's obviously a reason why, if that's something you really want to do and you're not doing it, there's a reason why you're not doing it. So having a belief on an intellectual level is an area of knowing, but what you really know, which is connected to the belief that you have on the cellular level, that is what you actually really believe, which is what you really, really know. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, you know what you have to do, but maybe you also have to know what your, I don't know if subconscious is the correct term, but your thought habits, or what some sabotaging thought you're having, you have to become aware of it, I guess, and see where it's coming from. Okay, and then the next step is changing it. Can you go into that a little bit? When you found out you're self-sabotaging yourself, then what?
So everything we learn in life, when we learn to do something, it actually gets transported basically from an intellectual knowledge to something that becomes part of who we are. So we have, there's three areas of the brain. So our conscious awareness and things that come into our environment. So we're just noticing and we're learning stuff, you know, information's always coming in. Our brain will go through a cycle of determining what it will accept and what it's going to reject, distort, or delete based on predisposed conditioning. So what happens is some things will stay in a short-term memory and some things will get put into the long-term memory bank of the brain. So anything that we've learned behaviours are stored in the long-term memory bank of the brain. And that's where the knowing is. Real learning takes place there. So that's why we may have learned something and we may be aware of something, but if it's not aligned with what we've previously learned and there's a conflict there, this is where the self-sabotaging behaviour comes in, because the conscious part of the mind only makes up about 17% of total brain mass. So it's only responsible for around about 2 to 4% of our perception and our behaviour. So it's the subconscious mind that's driving the show. So we're thinking, you know, with only 2 to 4% of our thinking focused on where we're going and what we need to do on a day-to-day basis, on the tasks and the things that we've got to remember. If our conscious awareness is focused on that, everything that we've learned, all the predisposed conditioning, that is in control most of the time. So this is why we kind of do life by default. We kind of go about paying attention to what we think we need to be paying attention to. But that's where the problem is, because the brain's flicking through this system of, oh, no, that doesn't compute. That's not what I'm programmed to pay attention to. So it deletes that stuff. So we just go through life on autopilot. We don't take time to stop and think about what we're thinking about. And we wonder why we keep self-sabotaging. If it's something that you want to do that is aligned with predisposed conditioning, then we can usually successfully create change in those areas of our lives. So there are things that support us, but there are things that don't support us. So that's where you've got to really stop and think about, like, be more aware of what's going on.
So the things,
why. Yeah.
So the things that we succeed in, or the things that we do, whether it's a success or not, is based on what's in your subconscious area of your brain and your long-term memory, did you say? So that those parts of the brain. So the solution is trying to retrain what's in those areas of the brain, is it? Is that, am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah. So even though things get stored in the long-term memory bank and that becomes our reality, and we're living based on those existing programs, they can be changed. And this is, all the research that that is happening in neuroscience. The brain is plastic. It's so all the research around neuroplasticity. Yeah, you can change it. It's no harder to change a limiting program than it is to suffer with the struggles and the negative consequences that the ones that are there that are not conducive to our success. So it's just taking time to do the work that you need to do, and it totally changed the rest of your life. Because once that new program becomes the default way of thinking, you don't have to think about it anymore. It's just going to keep running in the background and creating the success that you want to achieve. So it's well worth going through the process of doing what you need to do to change them.
Yes, I mean, I guess you can see examples of the I guess famous, because they're good examples to look at because they're out there for us, but like the Tony Robbins or Richard Branson or whatever, you can kind of see just by something to do with the body language and the way they speak and their energy, that you can see that their brain is wired in a particular way that whatever they decide to focus on, they'll succeed in. So I think we see those examples around us. So anyone can decide to succeed wherever if they just learn the techniques of reprogramming their habits and their mind.
To note here is that research has now shown that approximately 70% of the way we think as adults today is still being driven by the programs that were downloaded during the formative years of our lives. So, we upgrade our computers, but we don't always, we go through life not upgrading the most powerful source of machine that we have. Like, it's just incredible. There's no computer out there that compares to the power of what we have at our fingertips.
Yes, so we are underutilizing it without even realizing it. Okay, so we have the power over what we believe, but what we believe has power over us. Do you want to tell us what you mean by that?
Yeah, so once again, it's back to the beliefs. So we have power over those beliefs that are driving us, that are causing us to create the results that we have in our lives. But those beliefs that are the predisposed beliefs that we have power over us. So we need to use our conscious faculties to actually take control and to change them, because otherwise they will keep driving. They're the dominant driver. So when the brain's going through its process, though, information's coming in via our senses, what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch. The brain basically, that signal comes in, it's flicking through the files to find out whether it's going to accept or reject it based on the predisposed conditioning, and it will send back the signal for us to behave in a certain way. So given that this is happening automatically, moment by moment, depending on the, you know, what's coming in via the sensors, it's going, you need to actually stop and think about it, because when I talk about the cellular level, we were talking about that the other day when we had the conversation, those codes, all of our unique codes, those patterns of thinking that have been programmed into the long-term memory bank of the brain, when one of those gets triggered in through that system, it actually, through the neurotransmitters of the brain, it actually sends the signal down to every single cell in our body. And that's why we feel it, physically feel the emotional response to the thought that preceded it. So it's just, it happens in a split second that you know, you'll see something, it'll trigger the belief, and then we'll think based on what that triggered, and then, you know, that's getting sent down to every cell in our body, and then suddenly our physiology changes. And, you know, if it's something that makes us feel sad, or if it's something that invokes fear or happiness or whatever, you know, suddenly you feel it and you're aware of what you feel, but rarely do we stop and think about, you know, we're just like, oh my gosh, this is scary or whatever it is, but we don't stop and think about, well, what just happened?
Yeah,
Why
you can actually.
am I?
Yeah, you can definitely feel that when you receive a piece of news and it might not, well, say it's not good news, for example, you can just definitely feel the tension. So it definitely does something to all the cells in your body. You can feel it, can't you? So you say you can do something once you're aware, and you have some techniques. You can do something to change that.
Yeah,
you have some power.
Yeah. It's different for everybody. We all have. They are very unique to us as individuals. So you know, there's no two people on the planet alike. We all think differently. We all perceive things differently based on, you know, all that stuff that was downloaded during the formative years of our lives. So, you know, things to do with the image we have of ourselves, what we believe to be true about ourselves, about people, about the world around us, our values, all of those things. So sometimes you may have a thought pattern that's been triggered, but that can be tapping into, you know, several things. It could be just a single thing. So it's not something that you can just say, well, 1 + 1 = 2. It is case by case. You, as coaches working in this area, we need to work with people individually to identify what their unique codes are, and to work out a modality that's actually going to be suitable. Because it's like going to the doctor. If you go to the doctor and he prescribes a course of medication, if you have predisposed beliefs that, you know, the doctors you can't trust your doctor, or pills aren't good for you. You might have, you know, had programming in the past where health modalities are a better way to go, you know, looking at different options down that. Like, you're going to leave in that same condition that you went to him for. And you're going to struggle with the doubts. You're going to struggle to take the medication. So you're back at square one, where you've now got to find somebody that's got something that's going to align with your values and your beliefs around the condition that you have and the course of action that you need to take. So it's the same with working with people. There are different modalities, and some people will respond better using one course of action or another. So we're trained to use a variety of different modalities to make sure that there's no resistance, because we want to minimize resistance as much as we can when we're working with people, because otherwise they're going to leave with great advice and, you know, a great plan in place, but they're highly unlikely to actually take action on it. So there's no one place or fits all, no solution, you know, no one
I was,
solution that'll fit.
I was thinking it might be nice to hear, because we've been talking about how it works and what a difference it makes to your life. It might be nice to hear like an example of whether it be you, how you got into it and what a difference it made to your life. It's up to you whether you want to talk about your experience or maybe a story of someone you've helped. Yeah, what a difference actually going through this made to somebody's life. Yeah, right. A life example
Yes,
would be lovely. A story.
a story. Okay.
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? If you do this, it's because you want to transform an area of your life. And obviously this has done this for you by the sounds of it. So
Yeah, it has. It changed my life and changed the way that I coach, because I was in the industry for quite some time. I've been in the industry for, it's around about 18 years now. And when I first started my training, we're just using traditional ways to coach people, and it took a long time. People would have to work through that process of time. In my own life, it took me 10 years to get over some of the stuff that had happened in my childhood. And so when I heard about there were modalities that I could actually shorten that process for people, I was just like, tell me, and I want to know, because I know what it's like personally, and I know the struggle that my clients go through having to, because it does take time to change these things. So it did radically change my life. I've had a couple of emails come through this week, actually, from clients. So
yay.
one of them came last night. So um,
Yay.
4 sisters that I've been working with individually for some time, just doing some leadership coaching. And through that process, discovered that they actually really wanted to start a family business. They had been talking about this for 10 years.
Wow.
So earlier this year, we just started to look at why, why they haven't actually taken that course of action, and some of the things that were around that. We worked through that process, and then we just I actually took them through another course on just going through step by step to look at what that dream was that they had all talked about 10 years prior to where they are now, and some of the fears and some of the obstacles around that. And yeah, and that was just earlier this year, and I got the email yesterday to say, just they've launched their business, which is 39 degrees for anyone that wants to have a look.
Okay.
39 degrees. Yeah, so yeah, it's just been amazing, and just talking to them, just because they're so aligned now with their sense of purpose and achieving a dream that they'd gone on their own separate journeys. They were in careers, highly successful women in their individual careers, and to now actually look at this and just think, gee, yeah, we actually really want to do this. So 2 of them have taken the leap into transitioning from employment to entrepreneurship, and just loving the journey. And yeah, so it's really exciting. So only 5 months ago they launched the business, and it's just been amazing what they've achieved over the last 5 months. So, but you can read about their story on their website. Another client, so totally different, started working with her about, maybe a year ago, and just dissatisfied in her career. It was quite aligned to her values and her natural talents and gifts, but there were elements that she just wanted to find, well, what really is my purpose in life?
Mm-hmm.
And there were some things around the confidence as well. So once we worked through that process, it was about 6 weeks, she actually got the confidence to start applying for a position that she never would have gone for before. just from going
And
through that process and actually looking for something that was more aligned to her values and her giftings, and to see the level of competency that she actually had, and to work just through some of the blocks around her, the image that she had and some of the beliefs that she had. So like I said, within, I think it was around about the 6 weeks, she started to apply for positions that she never would have got. She got an interview, and within a couple of weeks, started at a new job and increased her
wow,
income by $20,000 within a couple of weeks.
wish I could high five
So,
you. That's amazing.
and just working on changing the perceptions
I
and
bet
what was
that.
actually right.
So it gave her
So,
confidence, but as well as that, I'm guessing that she actually was able to present. I'd imagine if you just have that bit of a shift in your way of thinking, that you can just present yourself better in interviews, and you even probably think of how to express yourself in words better. You think your body language is better, your speech and your confidence. Um, yeah, that would all affect her ability to succeed and get the job, I would imagine.
it does.
Yeah. Well, we've been chatting for a while. I should probably, before we wrap up, just find out if there's anything that you'd like to add that we haven't covered off.
No, I think,
No?
yeah, unless there's any other questions that you have about it, I think we've
Or
covered
anyway,
what it is that I do. Yeah, and some
uh,
of the things can be achieved if
you
you're willing to
you
go through that.
you posted a video. Do you want to explain what that deal is you've got at the moment? There was some sort of. Is that still going? Is it too late?
Until 6 p.m. tomorrow night. Yeah,
Oh,
you look,
okay.
part of what I do is I do like to give back to the community and help businesses out. So I occasionally put out an offer. I think sometimes it's a big step for businesses to investing in their employees or even themselves. So sometimes just to try before you buy, to experience the benefits of what can be achieved, to get some insight into some of the things that happen in the dynamics of team with communication and things like that. So understanding that and seeing the value and what that can add to the bottom line is often enough to then give them that, okay, yeah, I think, yeah,
Take the
let's go down
plunge.
this. How can you help us? And we can just engage in a conversation. Otherwise, if not, they've learned something, and that's great. It helps small
So what is it
businesses as
exactly?
well.
It's a bit of an outline, or is it a course, or what is it?
So
Is it?
I generally tailor it to suit the organisation. So I'll have a conversation with whoever
Oh, okay.
wants to
All right.
sign up. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a 1 hour live training.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
I'm based in the southeast suburbs of Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone in that region, I will generally go out and I can deliver that on site. But for those that are outside of the region, I undertake the training via Zoom.
All right. So, and how can they reach you and find out more about that and other services?
Yes,
Just
so you can go to my website at www.newhorizonsforlife.com.au, or simply just pick up the phone, give me a call. It's 0422 315501.
okay. All right. Unless anyone wants to quickly add a question, I think they
See,
probably would have.
Helena, I don't know if it's a
Hi.
hey, hi. Hey.
G'day, Helena. She's a good friend of mine. All right, I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for your time. Absolutely fascinating. And yeah, that's it. So thank you very much. Have a great day, great
You,
weekend. Okay,
thanks.
bye.
Bye.